In this video, I want to talk about 5 must-have items for your studio for around £100 or less. Very often, if you run a commercial recording studio, or even if you just do some home recording yourself, we tend to focus on the big things, the expensive things. And while that's fun and it's nice to kind of lust over different pieces of gear, it's really easy to overlook the little things. So what are some absolute essentials, some must-haves that really don't cost that much money? Well, I want to give you a rundown of my top 5. And if you stick around to the end, there's also a 6th bonus one that I've snuck in there as well. So let's start with number 1. Right at the top of my list, the most essential must-have are some really decent quality XLR and instrument cables. There is nothing more frustrating or embarrassing if you're running a studio, you've got an artist in, and you've got a bad cable that's noisy or keeps dropping out. So at the top of my list would be to invest in good quality instrument and XLR cables. And these don't have to break the bank. For XLR cables, I'm using Monster cables. These are really, really tough. They've got really good quality Nutric connectors on them. And they also have a lifetime warranty. So although they might be quite expensive, one of these can set you back anywhere between £50 and £100, depending on how long it is. If it fails, if something goes wrong, you can just send it straight back and they'll send you another one. This is a limited warranty though, so if you damage the cable, if you're running a chair over the top of the cable and it breaks, then they won't cover that. For instrument cables, I do have a couple of Monster, but I also really like these Warm Audio cables, and they also do XLRs as well. And one thing I love about these, as well as them being super high quality and having good connectors, they're also braided, which means they're really easy to store neat and they don't get tangled up too much. On to number 2, my second pick would be one of these. This is a Shure SM57. Every single studio in the world, in my opinion, should have at least one of these. You can pick one of these up brand new from any decent music store for around £100. Don't be tempted by eBay or Amazon, because there are plenty of fakes knocking about, and they are just super versatile. You can put pretty much anything in front of one of these, and while it's not going to sound amazing, it will always sound usable and decent. The 57 is probably the best option in my opinion for miking up snare drums. So if you're recording drum kits, you're definitely going to want at least one of these. And also for miking up guitar amps. If you are still using real tube amps, real amps, then putting one of these in front of a cab is never going to sound bad. But even if you don't do either of those things, I'm using virtual drums most of the time. I'm using Kemper for my guitar amps. I still get plenty of use out of this. This is what I will grab whenever I just want to record a quick demo or a guide vocal. It's probably not going to be the best option for recording a keeper vocal, but you can just grab it, you can sing down it, and you can just get that guide track down, and it's going to sound great. Some singers might sound fantastic down this, and there's certainly situations where you'll be able to use it to record proper vocal takes. Similarly, if I just want to record something quick, like a shaker or a tambourine, we're not going to spend ages agonising over the best mic for that. We'll just throw a 57 up, get on with it and get the job done. Number 3 on my list is a DI box. Now, having a good solid DI box is essential for any studio in my opinion. And these can run quite expensive. You can spend a couple of £100 on a DI box. If it's something that you're going to be using a lot, if it's something that you're going to be using for something very specific, then it might be worth spending a bit more money on. But if you just need something solid and reliable just to have handy, then you don't necessarily need to. There's plenty of options around the £100 mark or a little bit less. A DI box can be really handy to split signals. So for example, if we're recording bass guitar and we want to take a DI signal as well as run into an amp, you can do that. It can also be really great for instruments. So for example, if you're running keyboards or stuff like that, going through a DI box can really help the sound. Particularly if you've got long cable runs, it can help you get a more balanced sound to your interface. And you can choose DI boxes that are active and that can give you a particular sound and just help shape your tone overall. There's loads of different ones that you can choose. Radial do some really solid DI boxes, as do Warm Audio. Okay, on to number 4. This is definitely one of the most important parts for any recording studio, and it is having an online cloud backup system. This is one of those things that you hope you will never need. However, in the event that you do, it is an absolute lifesaver. Your studio computer, including all of your session and storage drives, should be backed up online, and there are various solutions that you can use for this. The one that I use and that I would recommend is Livewire. It costs around £70 to £75 a year, and you can connect one computer and as many peripheral hard drives as you want to that computer, and it will back every single one of them up in the cloud. and the storage is unlimited. Backup drives in the studio are great, and they are really useful. If you have a drive that fails, for instance, but it's backed up to another drive, then that's great. That's going to get you out of that situation. However, if something more catastrophic happens, if you have a break-in, a burglary, or there's a fire where everything gets destroyed or lost for whatever reason, having an online backup that you can pull from is really, really going to save you a lot of time, a lot of stress. And if you're running a commercial studio where other artists are coming to you and they're paying you to record their music, this is something that you really should have in place. With LiveDrive, if anything happens, you can download everything straight back to your computer exactly as it was. Or if you've got quite a lot of data backed up, you've got several hundred gigabytes or even terabytes, then you can pay a small fee and they will send you a physical hard drive with all of your files there. Like I said, this is one of those things that we all hope that we never have to use. But in the event something terrible does happen, then just being in the knowledge that you've at least not lost your data and you can still get the artist, their files, that album that you've been working on, that is going to provide some sort of comfort and some sort of security. Now, number 5 on my list for studio items around the £100 mark is a really good, really solid plugin bundle. Now, some people will argue that this is not essential and you absolutely can make really great sounding music with the stock plugins in your DAW. And to be honest, they would be absolutely right. I'm not going to argue that point. However, having a really good plugin bundle can make your life so much easier, and it can help you get to that end result a lot faster. And in a lot of cases, it can just be a lot of joy to work with, and they can give you something extra than what your stock plugins can offer. Now, the ones that I use and that I would absolutely recommend in a heartbeat, first of all, is the Slate Digital All Access Pass. These plugins are absolutely phenomenal, and they go above and beyond what you would typically get in your stock plugins in your DAW. The VCC plugin, for example, emulates console, so you can record and you can mix and have the sound of legendary SSL Neve API consoles. The Virtual Tape Machine is another really stunning example of a tape plugin that, yes, you get tape plugins in your DAW, but not this one, not this emulation. It really, really does something special to certain tracks. And you also get things like the Infinity EQ, which is a really amazing EQ that can work on so many different things. And even something like the FG Bomber, which is a transient designer and an EQ plugin all in one. Yes, you could get similar results with the stock plugins in your DAW, but it's going to be a lot more complicated. You're going to need to stack lots of plugins together, whereas just loading something like the FG Bomber, tweaking a few parameters, and you can instantly get a sound, is going to be more fun, and it's going to save you a lot of time. You can get the Slate All Access Pass for $149 for the entire year, which is, depending on the exchange rate, around £100, maybe a little bit more, but it is 100% worth it. Another plugin bundle that I would totally recommend that I use all of the time is the UAD Spark. Again, $149, depending on the exchange rate. It's around that £100 mark, maybe a little bit more. But you're getting so many insanely good plugins that is just going to make your experience recording and mixing a lot more fun, a lot more enjoyable, and ultimately faster. Now, at the start of the video, I did promise a 6th bonus one, and for me, something that I've got quite a lot of value and use out of is a Google Plus account. And this is something that I would definitely recommend if you're running a commercial studio, or if you're a producer, mix engineer, mastering engineer, and you're working with other artists in a more professional capacity. With a Google Plus account, you can link your Gmail to your URL to your domain. So rather than having your email as @gmail.com, which literally everyone has because it's free, you can have @yourdomain.com. This just looks a million times more professional, and if you are working or you're wanting to work in a professional capacity, then it can just give a really, really great first impression to those artists and to those people that you're working with. You just come across as a bit more serious. The other big advantage of a Google Plus account is that you get extra storage in your Google Drive. So rather than the 10 or 15 gigabytes, whatever it is that you get for free with your Gmail account, you get 30 gigabytes with a Google Plus account. And for me, that comes in really handy for storing documents that are needed for my recording studio that I'm going to maybe send out to artists to help them, marketing plans and things like that. But I also use it for file sharing as well. So when we're recording a song, when I'm sending mixes out, I can drop it in the Google Drive, I can share it with the artist, and they can access that straight away. Now, at this point, if you're a songwriter, producer, if you're releasing music in any way, shape or form, then one of the most important documents that you have for getting your music heard is your EPK. EPK stands for Electronic Press Kit, and this is essentially a document, it's a PDF that you're going to send out to people who can give you access to opportunities to get your music heard. So for example, when you've got a new song out, you might want to get in touch with radio presenters who can put your song on the radio. You might want to get in touch with promoters who can get you shows in your local area. Maybe it's festival organisers, if there's big festivals going on that you could be a part of. Your EPK is essentially your musical CV that you're going to send out to these people to hopefully get access to all of these opportunities. The problem is, if your EPK sucks, if it looks unprofessional, if it doesn't contain the right information that needs to be on there, then anyone that you send it to isn't even going to click the link. They're not even going to listen to your music. They're just going to delete your email and just forget about it. A great EPK is that vital first impression. It's your foot in the door to making a good impression, to making people want to click on the link, and then it's up to your music to do the talking. Now, to help with this, I've created a template that you can use to design a stunning, professional looking EPK that crucially contains all of the relevant information that needs to be on there. And the best part is, it's completely free to use, and it's also super simple and quick. You can have your EPK done and ready to go within minutes. The link's in the description below, go and check it out.